Hi, welcome to Product Manager Pocketbook app. My name is Elizabeth Merceron, and I'll be walking through the entire design process that was used for this mobile application. This mobile application is a vocabulary learning app for product managers. We're going to meet the primary persona or the proto persona for this app, look at the initial wireframes, look at the usability test results, and step through the improvements that were made as a result of the usability testing, and finally wrap it up with some lessons learned. So let's get started. So here is our primary persona, Henry. He is 34 years old. He is a product manager with a master's degree in MIS and a graduate certificate in entrepreneurship. He likes to travel, he's in a relationship with no kids, and he has one dog. His quote or his mantra in life is that he always wants to understand how and why something is important. And he wants to take those learnings and apply it to his life and his career. So as a product manager, Henry wants to understand the technical concepts and the programming languages that are used by his development teams so he can have better conversations with the developers. He can propose technically feasible solutions to business leaders and software engineers. So as I stated before, the problem statement for Henry is that he wants to understand the software development world or understand the developers a little bit better, understand technical concepts like what is an API, the deployment and the build process, so that way he can have better conversations with business leaders, with engineering leaders, and present, like I said, technically feasible features to them. Some challenges that our Henry will be facing is that he doesn't have much time. Like I said, Henry is a product manager. He is putting in about 40 to 50 hours plus a week. So any short lessons that he can do during his lunch break or while he's working out or at the end of his day, just probably no more than 30 minutes will be helpful for Henry. And then also another challenge that I've been mentioning about Henry is just communication, feeling confident in communicating with developers. Like I said, Henry wants to understand their world so he can speak their language when it comes to proposing features to them. So with that said, started building the prototype for this vocabulary learning app for product managers. And what we're looking at are like the opening steps of the app. So we have the splash screen here. We have the login and the create accounts. And then we go into the app benefits. One thing to mention is that the content in the initial wireframes it's not final. It's just placing some words on a screen just to kind of get a feel of how much or the number of benefits to propose when you first open the app to like what type of content to actually present here. So if you go to the next slide here, this is where Henry would be asked to make his selections or to provide information about himself, to tell his interests, how much time he would be dedicating to his learning and what type of learner he is. There's also the option to skip a step here, but if you choose not to skip this step, then you would come here to this confirmation screen asking if you want to view the recommendations, where you would see the recommended courses. Here's just a loading screen after you've selected a course, where you would come to the course onboarding or the course onboarding overlay, where we'll show you how navigation works when you are in a course. And after you pass the course onboarding, you get a secondary loading screen or like another like tips screen here. And then when you interact with the CTA here, it would take you into kind of like the course homepage here, where it would list out the modules, and you would see be able to interact with the course navigation. Once you click a module, you'll get taken into the module or the lesson itself, where you'll be able to create a note. When you click on this icon, you would open up the saved notes section with the option to add a new note. And here's where Henry can enter notes for the lesson that he's in. He can also upload images or additional content here and save it. Here's the confirmation screen of, are you sure you want to save? And then once you say yes to saving, you get a save successful screen where you have the option to view your saved note, go and create another note, or just return to the lesson. And continuing with the save successful screen, if you choose to view the saved note, then you can, if you choose to view the saved note, then you get taken back to the saved note screen where you can select one of your saved notes and go and be able to edit or to archive that note. So those were some like the initial wireframes, and those wireframes were taken into a usability test plan, where in the first task participants were asked to open the app and to create an account. So they went through the create account process, and they were able to view and provide their inputs on the benefits of the app. In the second task, they were asked to bring up or to find a way to view a list of recommended courses. And after they've looked at the recommended courses, then they should be able to select a course to begin a lesson. In the third task, they were asked to create and save a note. And the fourth task was just asking them kind of to test the idea of the archive functionality, since that was something that came up during the user task analysis. It was something that was found in the task analysis flow. And so the fourth task is kind of testing out to see if this is a necessary feature to have. So going into after completing the test with about 3 participants, the major highlights that came out of it was that the need to learn more about yourself, about you, that it's going into the recommended courses screen, that entire flow was confusing. There was mixed feedback on the questions that were being asked, specifically around like the learner question, that kind of opened up a lot of questions, and possibly a lot of burden would have been put on the client to come up with the appropriate courses to meet the different learner types. So I took that information and decided to revise the questions, and we'll see that when we go into the improved wireframe screens. But basically the flow from that need to learn about you going into the recommended course listing, some of the participants felt that it wasn't fair that they were forced into taking the quiz. Others felt like it was a good thing to do. Another felt like they would have preferred the option to take the quiz or not to take the quiz. So we're going to see in the next slide some of the improvements that I made there. And another highlight, major or pretty much a catastrophe, usability catastrophe in here, was the course tutorial. So the course onboarding screen was not clear to the participants. They were expecting the course navigation to be explained in a little bit more detailed, and that did not happen. And also they kind of questioned the course navigation, and kind of questioned the content that was also on the course onboarding screen as well. The other two were about, like I said, improving the questions for the need to learn more about yourself. And then also another thing to highlight is the create new note flow. while the participants said that it was a straightforward, easy flow, they felt that there was more opportunities there to allow them to look at their saved notes, to be able to go in and edit their notes. All three participants did say that they did not care about the archive. So it's not highlighted here on the screen on this slide here, but the archive functionality, which I wanted to know more about, the participants did not care about it. So we go to the next slide. We see the updated wireframes here. So I introduced this slide here asking the user. So after they've created their account, this screen will come up and ask the user if they would want to take the quiz to get a recommended list. And if they say yes, then they come here, they're prompted to take the quiz. If they say no, then you just look at all the course listings available in the app. So I'll look at this one here. So here, there was feedback about this screen about the course listings, to be able to have some additional functionality, so like a search or sort and filter. Also on the quiz here, I took away the learner type question. One piece of feedback that I received was just focus on the interest and the length of time upfront. For the initial release, just look at what is the topic or the area of focus that a user wants, and how much time are they willing to dedicate to it. And then from there, show the list of recommended courses. And both of these screens, both of these views, the recommended courses and the view all course, have the same functionality of the view all, the sort and filter. There was a recommendation to add a search functionality that could be added in a future, in another iteration of these wireframes. So another area another catastrophic area was the course onboarding overlay. So added a few more navigation to the overlay, added the course home. That did come up during the testing, the usability testing, about there was not a good way to come back to the course home screen. So I made sure to put that here in the overlay, as well as kind of point out that there are notes available to you in the lesson, which brings me to this next screen here, where I received also feedback is that the notes section shouldn't just be tied to the individual lesson itself. The participants, 2 out of the participants felt like the notes could live at a higher level, at the course level, instead of being buried into the individual lesson level. So something else to point out is that I'm still working through the course navigation, so that's still a work in progress, but it is an improvement from what was shown during the usability testing. So what did I learn through this entire experience? I learned, one, that I want to keep exploring different names for this app. This app is not meant to be a developer app. This is meant for the non-technical business folks who are in the product management world, or who kind of touch a little bit into the software development world. And when they're in the meetings, when they hear like API or code base, or when they hear technical jargon tossed around in meetings, just kind of give them some context, really. You know, when they hear API, at least they understand like what is an API. So this, like I said, probably find a different name for the app. And the next one is the detailed task analysis. I pointed that out because while I was drawing up the wireframes, I kind of saw some other areas of opportunity, and those areas of opportunity kind of, I felt, threw me away from like the main path that I wanted to focus on, or areas of opportunity that I missed in my initial task analysis. So I think if I had spent a little bit more time fleshing out the task flow, I would have caught some of these areas that the participants brought up. The next one I have here is explore content and course offerings. I didn't, as you noticed in the wireframes, I did not go into content. I didn't go into the courses that are being offered. I kind of left that open because I am still thinking through how to present content to product managers. One piece of feedback that was offered was like the hands-on experience, or actually this was mentioned in the user interviews too, is the hands-on experience is critical. So knowing how a word is used or concept is used in the real world setting is very helpful. For this project, I did not go into that. I kind of stayed away from it. But if there was more time, I would definitely go and explore that into how to present the technical concepts and offer a hands-on experience without having to do in-depth coding. The next bullet point I have here is the importance of user research and interviews. I noticed that the direction that I took with my wireframes, it came from the research and the interviews. With the individuals I interviewed with, the one thing that they mentioned was they always wanted to feel confident when they're conversing with colleagues or peers in their industry. So the time that they would spend learning new vocabulary is to build up their confidence in speaking to individuals about their industry. The usability testing I learned was more about it's more than what they say, it's how they use it. So if I had just done the usability testing, like just handed off to the users without really being there to not being there to moderate the testing, I don't think I would have gotten the results that I got. Something else I noticed in the usability testing was kind of like the thought process. So the participants did talked about their thought process while they were interacting with the wireframe. And so that was very helpful and kind of in doing the digging into their experience. So asking like the questions of like, was this helpful, or asking questions about what was beneficial, what was not beneficial. So I learned that the usability testing is not so much about what people are clicking on and what they're saying. It's also like looking at their behavior when they're interacting with the prototype. It's seeing the confusion or seeing that aha moment on their face. Like those facial or vocal cues gave me the idea of like, okay, this was the right direction to take, or oh no, that was not the right direction to take. Like I noticed with the recommended course flow, just their initial facial reaction to it, you're seeing the puzzled look, and then they're talking through it, talking through their puzzlement. That's information that I don't believe I would have caught if I had just done an unmoderated test. And then finally, just continue to iterate and just test different hypotheses. So I had a hypothesis that archive is a necessary feature for saved notes, and it turns out it wasn't. It was not an important feature for this app. The only reason why I thought of archive was because when I was creating the test flow, I saw that as a gap in the test flow. And so I wanted to test that gap with the wireframe and see if it was truly necessary. And after testing it, it seems like it's not. So a lesson learned for me is just to continue to iterate, just continue to test ideas. So test ideas, get the feedback, and go back to the drawing board and continue building again. So thank you for listening to my experience with this vocabulary learning app. I do have it in the slides after here, just some artifacts with the full usability report and the user task flows. So those are available in this PowerPoint deck if you choose to look at them in more detail. Thank you.